How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you. And you, Chris?
I'm doing well. First of all, may I ask you your age and where you were born?
91, and I was born in Hackensack Hospital at Hackensack, New Jersey.
And when did you join Mount Olive Baptist Church?
I joined when I was about 11. I had already been going to Sunday school since I was a tot. My whole family went there, so I guess I must have been about 11 when I got baptized.
Oh, wow. And who was the leadership at that time?
I was Reverend Gibson.
And how did the church mold you as a toddler, teenager?
We were mostly in church, every Sunday anyway. We was Sunday school and BYPU and the choir, so our activities were mostly in the church.
And who influenced you in the church? Did you have any influences?
One of the best ones that I really enjoyed was Miss Olive Goodall. I really did admire her. She taught piano lessons, and she played the piano for our choir and for the Sunday school. And she could really sing.
And what struggles did you have growing up in Hackensack, particularly in the school system?
The school system, well, actually, I really didn't know what prejudice was, but it was very prejudiced. When there was things that we weren't allowed to be in and didn't know why. But we had a lot of families shipped in Hackensack, so it wasn't as noticeable as being prejudiced until we got older, particularly in Hackensack High School. I remember I wanted to be in the play, in the senior play. The play was My Man Godfrey, and the only part that they would let me take would be as a maid, and my mother refused to let me do that. That was old. The other thing was a cheerleader. I wanted to be a cheerleader, which I was, but they only let me be a substitute. So, and then nobody ever missed out, so I never got to be on the team. I did go to some of the games. That was about it. And then graduating, that was it. We had, I'll make it brief for you. This last thing was we had the courses that we were taking. They took the people, some of the students, and we went to the telephone company. They had us to go into the phone company, as clerical students, but that was all, and we didn't make it. So that was one of the things. That's when I really found out how prejudiced it was in the school systems.
What year did you graduate from high school?
I graduated in 1948.
Can you tell me a little bit about your work experience? Some say that you're a great cook. I say you're a superb cook. So tell me how you got started.
Well, actually, at home mostly. My dad and my mother, they both were very good cooks, and I was an only child, so I would either go to work with my dad, and if I wasn't at his job with him, I was with my mother. She used to go away, and she worked in private homes, and I was with her most of the time. That's how I actually started in cooking. Now, I didn't realize I was really cooking then, but I didn't go into cooking at that time.
Okay.
I didn't go until later on.
Okay, tell me about your early experiences. What did you do first before cooking?
Well, I was in real estate. Scott Oates was the first black person to break into the multiple listing system, and I joined up with him in real estate. I was in real estate for about 7 years until when the market went berserk. That's when I had to leave, and I started the next thing I knew best, and that was cooking and waiting on people, and that was it. That started me.
So how did you get into that as a career?
Well, actually, I really didn't want to be into it. I wanted to do something else, but I figured that was my next best, and so many people were asking me to do things, and I don't know, it just blossomed out. I started doing weddings and birthdays, and this is how I just kept on, cooking, I guess.
I know that from stories that I've heard that you've cooked for some celebrities before. You've done a lot of parties. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Oh, yeah, I did quite a bit. Actually, what I did was, when I started cooking, I worked with caterers. And when I worked with the caterers, one of the caterers that I really admired and worked with was Cleo from Cleo's La Cuisine, and she was the best. She had gotten written up with the New York Times. She worked for a lot of celebrities and whatnot, and I went and worked with her, and then I went out on my own. I started on my own. I worked, I did for George Benson, to name one. I did Reggie Harris, and I could go on and on and on and tell you quite a few that I did for. I did a wedding for one of the actors, George Cole. I did a wedding for him in one of the mansions in Englewood. That was quite a few that I did, and I enjoyed it.
I see you well accomplished. I'm sitting here reading now an article with you and Tiffany's. You done things for Tiffany's in New York?
That was one of the best and biggest. I got my job from Tiffany's. I did private catering, and in doing the private catering in New York, I was, well, they call it a personal chef. That's what they call it. When my mother was working, we just did a housekeeper and a maid, but then you got to have a personal chef. So I did a lot of that in New York, and one of the persons that I did was Governor Keene's sister-in-law, Katie Keene, with the American Plays Theater, and from then I got my job from Tiffany's.
May I ask you about your restaurant and how you got started with that?
Oh yeah, that was really something. I really didn't want a restaurant. I enjoyed doing the catering, but what happened, my business had begun to get so big, and we were on the second floor, and we were at Van Brunt Street at Carr Plumbing Building, and they wouldn't deliver the food on the second floor because they had to walk up. So Mr. Carves was going to sell the place, and I thought that was wonderful, because what we could do, we could have a lift to bring up the food in the back window to the second floor. Well, we did everything and went down to consummate the deal, and his wife wouldn't sell. Said that was her son's legacy.
Oh, wow.
So I had already said that we were going to move because you couldn't get the food and stuff. So we started looking, and that's when we saw the place in Teaneck, on Teaneck Road, the Tuxedo store, and that's where it began.
Okay, well, how did it begin?
Well, we talked to them, and we had to get an architect. I had to draw up the plans, and we did the whole thing and made a restaurant out of it.
From a tuxedo store to a restaurant, wow.
No, the tuxedo store was on the end.
Oh, okay.
But it was in that tuxedo complex, the building there that he owned.
Okay.
So he stopped, and at the end building, it was empty. The next to that was a camera place. So we started, and he said that we could fix it up the way we wanted. It was a dance studio previous to that. Left the mirrors and everything in there, which made the place look twice as big. So we fixed it up, and that was it. Called Joyce's Grand Cuisine. And I was there for 10 years.
And what was your marketing strategy back then?
Oh boy. Actually,
what year did you have it, first of all, so we could put a time frame to it?
Oh, I would say from 1986. About 1986, 87.
Okay.
Yeah, something like that. And that's when we started. It started out good. And we had people could come in and bring their own brown bag. I had 60 seats. Was really nice, and had a nice little staff, and it worked out great. And I still did catering some, because had to stop because most of it was done in New York. We did a lot of companies and whatnot, so we had to stop to keep the business going. And then that was it. They had a shooting in Englewood, and they had a march through the town of Teaneck, down Teaneck Road, and after that, the people didn't patronize, because most of my customers was the people that I did parties for in Teaneck, and a lot of them from New York. So they got a little afraid because they didn't know what was going to happen with the shooting and whatnot. And then I had to change my whole concept. I had to change from continental cuisine to Southern style. But I still did my little business there. We had a little Sunday brunch, and we had jazz on Sunday morning, and we had some of the sororities used to come over, and then some of the people from the church would come over on Sunday brunch, and it worked out pretty nice, but the rents kept going up.
Miss Joyce, what were some of the obstacles you encountered while you had the restaurant?
Well, we were really doing good, and after the march, I had to change the whole concept of the restaurant. No more Jewish clientele, so I changed it to Southern style foods. I started having brunch on Sunday, and I had like a little jazz group that would come in and play. I still did my parties. Everything was going good. I just had to work so hard to continue, and I had to constantly do parties. Sometimes I had to close the restaurant in order to do a big party. It was a big party versus doing the restaurant, and I made more with the catering than I did with the restaurant. Believe it or not, out of the 60 seats, after I changed my cuisine, sometimes I have 2 customers at night. 2 customers. That's the truth, and I couldn't believe it. No walk-in trade, but I did have parking in the back, and most of my clientele came from New York. I would have the people that patronized me locally would be on Sunday after church. But I'd say on the whole, it was very, very hard with the... when I advertised, when I was there, I would add kosher-style catering, because in the beginning, most of my clientele was Jewish. There was some controversy about that with the town, the rabbi, or whoever it was in charge. They didn't like the word kosher, so I had to take kosher-style out. But through it all, I ended up doing well. I stayed there for 10 years. And I left because my lease was up, but I still did catering, and right now I still have some of my customers from the time I started will call me every now and then. I still do a little voluntary work. I did a lot of volunteering and because after the restaurant closed, I went into working with the senior citizens, which was fantastic. I loved every minute of it until I got sick. And now here I am.
Do you have any encouraging words for someone, a young black adult that may want to get into that industry? Anything that you could pass on to them?
Yes, I do. I would tell them, whatever you're going to do, don't take on no more than you can handle. If you have someone to come and offer you a job for 50 people and someone to offer you a job for 100, take the 50, because you can handle the 50. You may not be able to handle, and you'll come out much better. You can get it together, you can get people to help you, and I think you can do more organizing and give everybody the same menu. When I had my restaurant, when I did catering, they all loved lemon chicken, and that's what they all got, lemon chicken.
Okay, Miss Joyce, this concludes. I want to say thank you for allowing me to interview you, and this concludes our interview. And is there anything else you would like to share with us before we wrap it up?
Yes, the food industry is wonderful. It's big. You have to love it. And when you cook, you have to cook with love. If you satisfy yourself, you can satisfy your customers. And you got to remember, it's a service, and you're getting paid for a service. And you try to do the best you can. If a task is once begun, never leave it till it's done. Be the burden great or small, do it well or don't do it at all.